Evening and welcome once again to this week's episode of It's My Turn Now, where everyone gets a chance to just share what their thoughts are, what their feelings are about various topics that we discuss each week. We weren't on last week, and so we certainly missed you last week. This week we're on, but we're at a different location. Actually, I'm in Denver, Colorado, having a fantastic time here. I want you to invite your friends, invite your family, tell them to come on, tell them it's my turn now, it's on the air. So tell them to come on. We would like to hear what your thoughts are today. I have a very good topic on today that we're discussing. What we're discussing today is the topic of toxic, healthy versus a toxic relationship, a healthy versus uh, a toxic relationship. I want you to just kind of think for a few minutes and ask yourself, what type of relationship are you in? Are you in a healthy relationship, or are you in a toxic relationship? Some of us may be surprised what the answer may be after the end of this broadcast when we think about the type of relationships that we're in. If we're in a toxic or if we're in a healthy relationship, a lot of time people feel like they're in a healthy relationship only to find out the relationship is not as quite as healthy as they think their relationship may be. And so we deal with so many different types of relationships. So it's important to know really what type of relationship you are. Sister Shirley Walton said, praise the Lord, everyone. God bless you, Sister Shirley. Thank you for joining us on It's My Turn Now. Shirley, Shirley Walton and I, we do seminars. We've been blessed to do a number of seminars, different parts of the country. And at the end of those seminars, we hear a lot of feedback talking about various types of relationships, and people share with us some of the relationships that they have. And you'd be surprised how many people, when they actually look at their relationship, they realize that their relationship is not as healthy as it should be. So I want you, if you're on here, I want you to come on here, give your comments, press the share button, share with others, let them know. Thank you, Sister Shirley Walden. She says she shared. Thank you. I want you to share because you may be helping someone. Many of us, I remember some years ago, this was when I was, I think, a freshman or sophomore in college. I remember um, someone wanting me to intervene in a family member. I wasn't a therapist or anything at that time, but they were concerned about a family member that was in a relationship, somewhat of an abusive relationship, and the young lady felt that the person really loved her, even though that he would beat up on her, and she felt, and he had her convinced to thinking the reason why he did that was because he cared about her. And many people in relationships like that, they think that somehow they've been manipulated to think that the person, oh, he cares about me so much that that's the reason why he does that. No, that's an unhealthy relationship. That's very unrealistic. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Do you know someone? Maybe you know someone that's in a unhealthy relationship. Maybe you have a healthy relationship. Maybe you want to share with us your example of what you consider a healthy relationship. Just share us what your thoughts are, because a lot of times people are watching the program so they can get ideas and they can get suggestions regarding their relationship. So, and we all are in some type of relationship. Many times, one of the first questions I ask when my wife and I are doing relationship seminars, who are in relationships, and most of the time, people who are single feel like they're not, dating or anything like that. They'll say, "Well, I'm not in a relationship." Well, no, you're in a relationship. There's various types of relationship. Relationship doesn't mean that you're married. Doesn't mean that you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. There are certain things that cause us to be a part. Different groups. If you're a part of a group, or you're part of a church or part of an organization, then there is a relationship that you have with other members of the organization. If you're single, maybe you spend time with other single individuals. Do you have a relationship with them because you're single with single? So there's various types of relationships, and so maybe we have to define what a relationship is. So sometimes people are not clear on what a relationship actually is. So we just have to continue to just understand what relationships are all about. And so And excuse me, we're having a little problem on today for some reason. Um, I don't know. We seem to be having a little problem with our program. I'm getting a little feedback right now, but we'll get it together. Okay, there we go. So Patricia Davenport, God bless Patricia said, First Lady Walton, praise the Lord. So, how many of you out there feel that you're in a healthy relationship? If you feel like you're in a healthy relationship, let us know. You don't necessarily have to be, relationship. Maybe your family could be, you have a strong support system with your friend. Those are healthy relationships. Those are relationships that you can go to, and when you're feeling heaviness, and when you're feeling like you're doing things, you have someone that you can talk to and that you can trust, and that you don't have to worry about them sharing the information that you share with them. That's a healthy relationship, that you have someone that you feel comfortable with. A lot of times people don't have people that they can actually feel comfortable with, because many times they can talk to someone and the person goes and shares your information with somebody else. That's not a healthy relationship. So a healthy relationship is one where you can feel comfortable, where you can feel secure. So I want to share with you tonight, and want you to share with us what your views are on healthy relationships. There may be someone out here that just wants to know what's a healthy relationship, because again, as I said, there are a number of people who really don't know what a healthy relationship is. They think they're in healthy relationship, but they're not in healthy relationship. If you are in a relationship and it causes you anxiety, it causes you stress, it causes you to be depressed, it causes you to cry on somebody else's shoulder because of relationship, that is really not a healthy relationship. And so, what we want to focus on is what is a healthy relationship. You may be the person who's at the end of the relationship, that uh, you are part of the relationship that is not the healthy part. You may be a victim, or you may be the perpetrator. You may be controlling. And if you are a controlling person, that's not a healthy relationship. You're not making the relationship healthy for those that are around you. So I want somebody to share with us, as it takes a little while for us to go public. So maybe if you're on here and you're able to see us, let us know, because each week sometimes it takes a few minutes to go public. But that's right. I think it's a very important subject, very important topic. Even in the church, when we talk about church, or do you feel like that your relationship with other people in the church is healthy? When you see people, uh, it does cause you to become stressful, to cause you to become anxious when you see that person, or you just feel good about the people at church? Do you feel good about coming to church? If you don't feel good about coming to church, then that's not a healthy relationship. If you have problems getting along with people, and all of a sudden you feel worse when you leave, then that's not a healthy relationship. Many times, sometimes on our jobs, we have relationships with our coworkers that we hate to come to work, because there's somebody that's going to cause us trouble. Or there's somebody that is micromanaging on the job, and that causes additional stress. So you have to ask yourself sometime: are you creating a positive atmosphere around others? Are you yourself uh, feeling the effects of a negative relationship? Those are some questions that we need to ask ourselves. Some toxic relationships are controlling relationship. There are some people that have to control the relationship. They have to control everything, and they tell the person what to do. I deal with that in my counseling on a weekly basis. One person, no doubt, has to be controlling. They have to. The other person has to submit to their will. If the other person doesn't give in to what they say, then they're gonna catch it. They're gonna catch holy heck. Yeah, I guess I can use that as a better word, but they're gonna catch it. If you don't go with my way I feel about it, there's gonna be a problem. Is that healthy? Maybe you may feel like it's healthy for you, but it's healthy for the other person. No one wants to be in a relationship where they have to walk on eggshells. How many people? Maybe you know somebody. Let me know if you know somebody that they have to watch what they say, and watch what they do, because they're on eggshells. Because if they say the wrong thing, then they're gonna be in trouble. They're gonna be in the doghouse, and that's a problem. If you have a need to be so controlling in that relationship that you don't give that person the space, people need space. People need to have the ability and the freedom to be themselves. They need to be able to, when because you're in a relationship, any type of relationship, uh, it should be a mutual agreement for the relationship. In other words, you should not be in a relationship because you're forced, but you're in a relationship because you want to be in a relationship. So it doesn't mean that you take ownership of a person because they agree to be a part of the relationship. You normally uh, agree to have and to share the relationship with one another. So I think sometimes people, when they get in a relationship, they feel like they own the other person. Especially now, I've noticed here lately, especially with young people. And I think parents, you need to watch your daughters, because some of these young men, they're dating these young girls and they want to control them. They want to tell them what to dress. I mean, they're in high school. They tell them what to dress, who they can talk to, who their friends are. That it have that need to exercise control. And so some of the signs, if your daughter is dating someone and her attitude begins to change, she begins to change, you maybe want to watch out for that. If you have a grown person, if you have a grown person that they are not the same, they get connect with someone else, and then all of a sudden they feel uncomfortable, and they change to the degree that they're not themselves any longer, then they may be in an unhealthy relationship. Let me see. Uh, Sister Sheila Garrett, hi, I'm enjoying the empowerment. Very good. Thank you for joining. So we have to understand that when you are in a relationship should be a choice. It should not be forced upon you. A healthy relationship, and you should be able to have the freedom to express yourself, to do some things. Now, I'm not saying that you don't respect the other person, but by the same token, you must have the freedom to be yourself. You cannot lose your identity because you're in a relationship. Hey, Sister Patricia, I have a family member which I have to walk on eggshells. I decided not to deal with them. Patricia, that's sometimes we have to, for our own mental and our own well-being, we have to let people go. I mean, if you are around someone and you feel uncomfortable and they make you feel uncomfortable, uh, then you have to ask yourself, is it even worth the time to be around them? I remember times before we had call ID. There are times when certain people would call me, and I said, "Oh Lord, I wish I didn't pick the phone. I wish I knew who they were, because once they go into, sometimes people will answer the phone and they go in totally on you. They criticize you, they're judging you. I said, I wish I had call ID so I could have avoided that call. So if you're in that type of relationship, then you know there's something wrong. And you have to ask yourself what's wrong. So again, many of the relationships we have are by choice. Now, when we're dealing with people on a job, may not necessarily have a choice of who we can work with, who our coworkers are, but we have a choice of how we choose to respond to those individuals, how we choose to relate to them. And I've learned I don't have to deal with everything from everyone. Sometimes on our jobs we have relationships. And I retired after 31 years from AT&T. I was fortunate to be there 31 years. But those 31 years were those relationships, individuals that I had trouble. Yes, there are people, because there are people who maybe they have problems at home. Maybe they have no control in any other area of their life. So when they come to work, then they want to control you and they want to make your life miserable. And so we have to understand, how then do we address those situations? You're on a job and you have to deal with someone. Well, you have to realize that, first of all, you have to understand that many of the problems that the person has is their problem, it's not your problem. And so you don't have to buy into that negative attitude, that negative behavior, because what happens in many situations when you're dealing with a toxic relationships, if you're not careful, it can affect you so dramatically that it affects everything else you're doing. If you own somebody on a job and you hate to see that boss, and that boss is going to give you a hard time. I remember being on a job where there was a manager that said, I'm going to make this person mad. I mean, that's what that goal was. to make that person mad. I had a boss told me one time, he said, Anthony, he said, that's like anything makes you mad. He said, Lord, no, we try. I mean, they tried to get me upset. And that's what we have to understand. Some toxic relationship, people are unhappy with themselves because they're unhappy with themselves. They want you to be unhappy. And you have to recognize that. And so you don't have to buy into that and allow them to get you all bent up. And just so my attitude is never let them see you sweat. God bless you, Sister Sarah Cobb. Thank you for watching. It's my turn now. You don't have to let them see you sweat. If people know that they can get to you, then they're gonna get to you. Some people, the only way they can reduce their own stress is by causing you stress. And if that's the case, you just have to be aware. You just have to recognize those individuals, those type of people. But don't allow someone to stress you out, and then you in turn begin to pass it on with someone else, because that's what's called displaced aggression. Displaced aggression, instead, you may not be able to retaliate against someone's work, or you may be afraid to talk to that person's work. So now you get home, and now you take it out on everybody in the house. That's displaced aggression. And there are a lot of people who are upset with someone else, but they take it out on the wrong person. You need to direct your focus to wherever the issue is, wherever the challenge is, wherever you're having the problem is. That's the person that you need to direct your concerns to. Sometimes, like I said, we direct our concern toward the wrong person. So we have to say, listen, you're not the cause. So you should never be upset with someone at work, and then you want to come home and you throwing things, you're upset, then you create a toxic environment at home. Now people are afraid to come around you because he had a bad day at work, she had a bad day at work, you better watch out. So now what you're doing is you yourself are creating, and so it becomes a rippling effect, and so it becomes a problem when people are having problems at church and problems on the job. It becomes a rippling effect, even at church. Believe it or not, I remember, a lot of churches, they have problems in the kitchen, problems with the ushers, problem in the choir. You don't want to come to choir rehearsal because someone is going to be controlling, someone's going to be bossy, someone's going to be fussing. So, especially in the church atmosphere, everyone should be able to come together, love one another, and just support one another. So let me know if you find that your relationship at your church, if it's toxic, that you're having problems, and need to ask yourself, what can you do? Don't be a part of the problem, become a part of the solution. If you think that there's a problem, you need to identify the problem, and then once you identify the problem, begin to focus on some solutions. If there's a problem with that everyone's aware of, then rather than to just focus on the problem, we all say, what can we do to create a positive solution? God bless you, Sister Davis. Says, Amen. What can we do to make the problem? Because here's when we have a healthy relationship, it becomes a win-win situation for everyone, and that's what we want. We want a win-win situation. I'm telling you, you have to ask yourself, what kind of spirit does a person have when they are satisfied when you're not happy? There are some people that when they see that you're not happy, it's almost like they get excited to see you not happy. It's something wrong. It's something seriously wrong with that man, the woman that gets excited to see somebody else that's down. I can't understand it, but there are some people that they only are happy when they're creating chaos, when they in the midst of. There's some people that whenever arguments going on, brother Smith. I hope I ain't trying to fit on Brother Smith or Brother Jones, Sister Jones, Brother Jones, Brother Brown, Brother Gray, Brother Purple, Sister Purple. They gonna be in the midst of it. Why? Because wherever they go, they bring drama with them. It's a fact, and some of y'all probably know some people that are just like that. They bring drama with them no matter where they go, and then they hop from church to church, and then they say, well, and so as a pastor, when someone comes to my church, I'll say, well, What brought you here? What brings you here? People are not going to tell you the truth. They'll say, well, this person has a problem, this person has a problem, and you have to ask yourself, if you're going from church to church and you're still having the same problem, at some point, guess what? You may just be the problem. You may be the problem. I talked to someone who's been married 10 times. That's right, 10 times. Now, if I've been married 10 times and none of 10 times, you mean at least not nine, now at least one of them out of 10, were not good. If you've been married 10 times, then that's a problem. Now, I understand there are times when people can get married and one person, you cannot control another person. Everybody does not have healthy relationships. Some people don't know how to maintain a relationship. Some people have problems, the personal problem, and you have to be aware. You may have some of the issues that you're dealing with may be from your background, may be the way that you were raised, and you have to be aware of that. If I'm a sensitive person and I'm sensitive and things bother me, then I have to understand that it may not be the other person's problem. Maybe I'm just sensitive. There's some people that are sensitive. What do you mean? You say something. What do you mean? What do you say that for? What you say that for? What was that for? It may be that they weren't trying to be negative. They weren't trying to be critical. Maybe that's the way that you interpret it. So if you're a part of an unhealthy relationship, ask yourself, what am I doing to contribute to that being an unhealthy relationship? I need somebody to talk to me. What have if you're on here and you've been a part of a unhealthy relationship, what did you do? How did you handle it? Some people will get into an unhealthy relationship and they'll try to work on it, make it better, and some people just continue to add fuel to the fire, fuel to the fire, fuel to the fire. Well, tip for tat, until it grows blown way out of proportion. I've seen people take a little bit of something and take that, and next thing you know, it's like the old saying, make a mountain out of a molehill. It's your attitude, it's your relationship, it's how you communicate with others. It's so important. How are you communicating with others? Are you talking with others with the empathetic ear, with the kind ear, or do you just snap people up? Do you just talk to anybody anyway? Do you listen to the way that you talk to people? Well, I don't care what they think about me. They don't. Well, you know what? People say that, but really, you should care what people think about you. You should present yourself in a way that people see the person that you intend to be, not something negative because you demonstrate a negative response or a negative attitude when talking to them. And there's some people just they will say anything to anybody anyway. They don't care what they say, don't care how they say it. You just have to be tough. And there's some people say you just need to be toughen up. Well, maybe it's not that they need to be toughen up. Maybe you need to be more sensitive. We need to ask ourselves, are we sensitive to the other person in the relationship? Do we talk to people like with respect? So some of the unhealthy relationships are a jealous partner. If you have a jealous husband or a jealous wife, then that becomes a problem. You know, because sometimes you cannot control a person being a jealous person, and I've seen some men that are just so jealous that their wife can't talk to anybody. They get to the point where they're jealous of the wife and her best friend, and so you spend too much time. You spend too much time, and so she can't even have the freedom to have a good friendship with the girlfriend because he makes it so difficult for her and he's giving her such a hard time. I was talking to someone just the other day that their partner, that every time they go somewhere, the partner's blowing up the phone because they want to know where they're at, and that's a form of manipulation. I've got to control you, even though you're not here with me. I've still got to. I've still got to control the relationship. I'm gonna call you up. I'm gonna ring your phone. I want you to know that you cannot get away from me. You don't have the freedom to be away from me. That's a problem. And if you're in a situation like that, that's a problem. And so sometimes people say, "Well, I don't need counsel. I don't believe in therapy." If you're in a situation like that, honey, listen, are in a unhealthy relationship, because a healthy relationship is a person is going to give you the freedom to be yourself. The person is going to give you the freedom to say, "Hey, go ahead, go with your girlfriend, enjoy yourself, have some time." But if that man is telling you gonna be here by an hour, and he's calling you right on the hour, there's something wrong. Same thing with the wife, a girlfriend, whoever she is, but she's calling you and monitoring and blowing your phone up and doesn't give you the freedom, that becomes unhealthy. And so then that's when people feel, you hear the saying that I feel smothered. I feel I don't have any freedom. See, the old saying is once a man, twice a child. Now you have to give that person the freedom to be an adult. Especially when you're dealing with grown folks, that person's grown. And so you don't want to control that person like that. You're a child. And so sometimes in an unhealthy relationship, I hear people saying, I feel like I'm a child. They treat me like they treat me like I'm their child." And so I wonder how many people are happy with that. And if you feel comfortable with that, being treated like a child, then there are some unhealthy relationships. If you feel comfortable in a relationship where you're being treated like a child, then there may be something wrong with you. You may be so used to unhealthy environment that what is unhealthy then becomes your norm, and you have to be careful. So Patricia, I have kept trying. Nothing I say or do was good enough, even though it was not my fault. I would say I am sorry again. I walk away, and I hear what you're saying, and that really is difficult sometimes. In a situation like that, you may have to get someone else to intervene. Like I said, therapy, get a therapist or someone positive, someone spiritual. Many times um, in churches, the pastor is the spiritual leader. Pastor has ministers and deacons and things like that. If you have someone who's spiritual, and they have to be spiritual, that can because that's really God's original plan for the church. That if there was a problem, the Bible says that if you have all against somebody, take them to the brothers. If that don't work out, take the church. So we should be spiritual enough as Christians. Now maybe a situation, Pat, where the person not a Christian, but for the Christian, surely you should be able to talk them on spirit. That's another thing. That's sad thing. If someone considers themselves to be a Christian and they create a unhealthy environment for others, then that's a problem. And so you may have to ask them, what's going on. Sometimes it could be underlying motives when people treat you like that. And I hate to say this right here, but sometimes people hate to see you happy. You know, uh, Unhappy people unfortunately hate to see other people happy. There are some people, and there are people who don't want to see you excel. There are people in the church that don't want to see you excel. I remember seeing choirs where praise they would begin to become envious or jealous of one person because they were singing songs, leading the song, and they want I should be leading that song. And so now because you're singing leading the song, and I feel like I should be leading the song, now I'm giving you a hard time because really I really want the reason why I'm giving you a hard time is not that you're not singing, you're not doing a good job. It's because I feel that I should be doing what you're doing, and that is a problem. So God bless Sister Poole. Greetings and praise the Lord. God bless you. Thanks again for joining. It's my turn now. So when we begin to delve into what causes unhealth, there's a lot of things that can create an unhealthy relationship, and many times it goes back. Sometimes unhealthy behaviors can be learned behaviors. Sometimes you've seen someone else do this right here, and you think that is appropriate, but every learned behavior is not a healthy behavior. If it causes confusion, if it causes chaos, it causes problems, if it affects someone, then you have to realize that it's something going on. I've seen people who have created a negative environment. So I don't know what's wrong with her. I don't know what's wrong with him. That's their problem. No, if you are creating it, if they were peaceful and at peace until you came around, and once you come around, then you disturb their peace, not just because you're around, but because of your attitude and you're disturbing someone's peace. I don't want uh, to enter into any type of situation or relationship where I'm creating a negative environment, So I'm going to examine myself and say, well, am I doing something that I can change? Now, if you're in a relationship, some people just don't like you. If they don't like you, they don't like you. And and I will say this right here. I have come to the conclusion that I'm not going to allow myself to be unhealthy relationships. I tell someone I believe in going where I'm appreciated and celebrated rather than tolerated. And if you're in a situation you feel like you just tolerate it, that's an unhealthy relationship. So sometimes people feel like that you ought to just accept anything. No, you don't have to accept anything. You have to work on your own personal space, your own personal peace. You want peace in your life, because a lot of things like that, unhealthy or a toxic environment, can create anxiety, depression, stress, raise your blood pressure, which leads to other type of sicknesses and diseases. So you need to check yourself out. If you're around folks uh, that are creating that, either you have to find out, how can I change this environment? How can I change what's going on? Or if it gets too bad, then you might say, well, hey, I don't need this. I don't need this stress in my life. If you leave a meeting, every time you leave a meeting, you're upset and you're stressed out, then you have to ask yourself, why am I being stressed out? A healthy relationship is you're going to be appreciated, you're going to be respected. So, Trish, if you're in that situation where that person, sometimes you just may have to refrain yourself from that situation. I remember I just responded to a post on Facebook today. Is that I'm good with folks, but I can be good with you from a distance. If I feel that you don't add value to my life, and I feel that you are going to cause anxiety or grief, yeah, I can love you, but I don't have to spend my time with you. I don't have to be around people. There's millions and millions, billions of people in this world, and so it's nothing wrong with being selective and who you spend your time with. All right, Patricia, I did. Amen. That's what you have to do. Tell people, hey, God bless you. I'm out of here. I love you, but hey, if I'm with you and I feel worse after I leave you, because there's some people are so negative, so critical. Girl, what's wrong with you, girl? Where you get the outfit from? Where you get them shoes from? That don't matter. There are people that they feel like it's their job to dress you. Ain't your job to dress me. If you don't like what I have on, then that's your problem. It's not my problem. Unless it's something, you may get a situation where someone is genuinely concerned about you, but you have to develop a healthy relationship with many people before they will receive your criticism. You don't want a whole lot of criticisms from somebody that you don't even know or you don't have a healthy relationship with. You know, I'm not going to just criticize any and everybody. If I don't have a good relationship with you, I'm not going to criticize you. I'm going to pray for you if I see something wrong, but not going to just criticize you, because you have to create an atmosphere where a person is able to receive what you're saying. The old saying is, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. So once you're in a healthy relationship and the person feels that you really care about them and you are genuinely concerned about that person, then they don't mind. But when you just jump on a person and they know you don't have a relationship, well, what's wrong with them? I just try to tell them that, they need to redo their hair. Well, you haven't established a healthy relationship with them. What gives you the right to judge them? What gives you the right to criticize? They may have a purple hat, blue hat. They may like purple. They may like blue. You may not like purple and blue, but that's your problem, honey. That's not their problem. Don't make your problem somebody else's problem. And that's why we have a lot of unhealthy relationships, because too many people are making their problem your problem. I'm gonna say that again. Too many people are making their problem your problem. Don't make your problem my problem. I refuse to make if you and then I'm gonna say this right here. If you have a friend who wants to dictate to you who you can be friends with, then that's a problem. Because you don't get along with Sally, don't mean that your friend can't talk to Sally. Believe it or not, I have talked to people who they are actually afraid to be friends with someone else because someone who they're friends with doesn't like that person, and now they're afraid that if they like them, then they're gonna cut them off, and that's sad. That's not even a healthy relationship. And I'm gonna say this right here. I have seen situations where a person gets divorced, and because that person gets divorced, they no longer want you to be close to that person. Now you have established a bond relationship with this person for years. You never have problems. So now that your friends they're divorced, you may have to measure the relationship, but doesn't mean that you have to cut them off. You have your own friendship, you have your own relationship with that person. So if I expect you to cut somebody off because I don't like them, and that's too much to ask for another person. You know, that's too much. Now, if you're asking me that I have to be around that person, I don't have to be around that person. But it's not up to me to tell you that you can't be with this person because we're no longer friends, so we can't be friends. I've had people tell me that, well, me and this person are not friends. How can you be their friends? Well, I haven't fallen out with them. You fell out with them. You'd be in a bad situation if you let people dictate who your friends are, and that's another situation too. Sometimes we have people trying to dictate who your friends are. That's unhealthy. Don't let people tell you who you can talk to and who you can't talk to. One thing about me, people know me. I talk to a whole lot of different people, and you have a right to make up your decision what your thoughts are about another person. Don't let somebody else control how you should feel about another person. And so, if you're in a relationship where that person is always criticizing someone that you like, then you have a right to say, listen, I don't really want to hear that. Now, if what they're saying is valid, but sometimes people just are just very critical because they don't want to see you friends with the person who they're not friends with. And so those are just some things that we have to be concerned. A healthy relationship is a relationship where because I don't want to just focus on unhealthy relationship. A healthy relationship is a relationship where you feel good about when you see this person. It just puts a smile on your face. And we have that. How many people that you know in your life when you see them, you just feel good about them? You know they're gonna say something positive. These are healthy relationships. These are the type of relationship we all should be part. People should feel good when they see. There's a saying that when a person sees you, and maybe a while before they see it again, when they see it again, they may not remember what was said, but they remember how they felt. That's a healthy relationship. When you see a person that puts a smile on your face, that's a healthy relationship. When you see a person and you feel good, you feel like this is the type of person that's going to uplift me. And that's a healthy relationship. And these are the type of relationships that we should have in the church. Every one of us, if we don't have that type of relationship, we have to need to say, what's wrong with the church? That's what the church should be founded upon. Healthy relationships. From the pulpit on down, healthy relationships. I should be able to talk to my pastor. Healthy relationship. Talk to the deacons. Healthy relationships. Talk to auxiliary directors. Healthy relationships. If there's a problem with them, there's a problem. You need to find out what the problem is. Get the problem straight. But just don't harbor a whole lot of negative feelings. Just don't harbor. I don't care what they think. Work on that. Ask yourself, what can I do to have a healthy relationship? There are a negative thinking part is somebody who's critical all the time. Critical, negative. You do not need a lot of negativity. I'm telling you, I don't like a lot of negativity. Negativity does not do anything good for your spirit. When you hear somebody negative, and I don't want to be around somebody that every time I know somebody knows somebody, every time you see that person, they're talking about someone else. I tell people, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It may be true, it may not be true, but what am I going to do about it? Some stuff I don't want to hear. There's some stuff. If you got a problem with somebody, you go to that person and tell them that you have a problem. Don't tell me about it. Now, if you want to come to me and say, I have a problem with uh, 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 Sister Blue, Sister Purple, Brother Purple, and will you pray with me about? Hey, I'm all for that because you're about solutions. That's a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship is one that we can come together. Iron sharpens iron, and I can help you, and we can help one another. Because when I help you, and there's a negative feeling, and I say let's pray together, then it's a rippling effect because that positive behavior is going to affect others uh, in the relationship. It's going to affect the whole church. If you have a negative view of your pastor, don't come to me and say, "Yeah, I have a problem, with pastor." And the first I'm gonna say, I may ask, "What's the problem?" Then I'm saying, "What are you doing to correct the problem?" Don't always share your negative views with other people. And I have to admit, I have done that when I was younger, saying I didn't know better. Paul said, when I was a child, I spoke to a child, I acted as a child, understood as a child, but when I become a man, I put away childish things. When you are a mature Christian, you should be beyond the point of just finding out negative things, false of people. You should be able to see the good in someone. Somebody says some good in everybody. Try to find the good in somebody. It's easy to find the negative. If you around somebody and all they can do is see the negative in someone else, that's a problem because that's what happens. That spirit will rub off on you. Next thing you know, you're critical. I remember when I first got saved, I loved everybody. I mean, I was excited. I loved everybody, and I couldn't see why people had problems with this person. And and it wasn't too long after I was in church, somebody came to me talking about someone. They said, "Look at this person, such and such, such, such." And I held that person in high esteem. But when they said that negative thought, it did something to my spirit. It affected me. And so now I'm looking at that person cross-eyed. I haven't seen anything different only because of what they said. And I had to change and look at my attitude, and I had to measure what they said. So sometimes you do have to measure what people say and see what they're, because I'm sure they're listen, those that are watching this right here and those maybe watching later on, whoever you are, guess what? Somebody don't like you. Face it. Face somebody don't like you. Why don't they like it? It may be your problem, might be their problem. So if you don't like a person, you can't do it, then leave them alone. If I remember, and I say this often. I remember we were at Christ Temple years ago. Bishop Moore was a pastor, was having communion. He said, if you got something against someone, he said, go to that person and tell them, get it straight. I'm thinking in my mind, how can people come to communion service and have something against somebody? I said, man, ain't nobody gonna say that. Man, I'm saying about 2/3 of the church, at least 2/3. Maybe I'll say maybe it's a third. I'll give them benefit of the doubt. That's been so long ago, but at least a third of the church, if not more, they were walking around that church, touching people. Then I had somebody tap me on the shoulder and said, "I said what?" They said, "I have something against." I said, "Well, what did I do?" I don't know. To what? I'm thinking to myself, man, are you serious? You got something against me, and you don't know what you got against me? That some people just don't like you. Just don't like it. Say your head may be too big. You may talk too loud. You may talk too soft. They just don't like it. But you cannot make people like. So am I going to spend my time trying to get that person like me? No. Don't waste your time stressing yourself out trying to get people to like it. Just don't like it. Some people just not going to like you. You're not their cup of tea. If you're not their cup of tea, it's not your problem. It's their problem. Like I said, go where you appreciate it and not tolerate it, because one man's trash is another man's treasure. So sometimes people in unhealthy relationships, you need to know when to move on. There comes time to move on. You can go out your way to be as nice as some people as you possibly can, but if they don't appreciate you, there's nothing that you can do to make them appreciate. You can kiss up to them, you can buy them stuff, you can take them out to dinner. If they don't like it, they're not gonna like it. And it may be something personal. If they don't like you, they're gonna find some reason not to like what you're doing for them. If they don't like you and you take them out to dinner, wonder what's she taking them out to dinner for? What's she taking them out? That's that they have a negative view on life, and that's why some people have unhealthy relationships, because their view on life is just plain negative. They see life through a negative lens, and they need prayer. There's some people that just need prayer and need deliverance until they are able to receive prayer and deliverance. Every relationship they are in is going to be unhealthy. So when we're dealing with a healthy relationship, examine yourself. What can I do to have a healthy relationship? I've been married 42 years, and in order to have been married that long, you got to look at yourself. There's some things I put myself. I say, did I do this right? Did I say this wrong? I can't say, well, everything is my wife's fault. Sometimes I say, well, could I have done that better? And if I'm honest with myself, there's times where I may have said things that may not have said the right way, may not have intended to say the way that I did, but it may have came out negative. And when I recognized that, then I correct it. And so when you want a healthy relationship, when you recognize what you're doing wrong, correct those errors. Don't just say that's just where I am. My mom was like that, my granddad. It's time for somebody to change that. Change that. Somebody needs to break that generational curse. My granddad's mean, my mom was mean, my grand. So what? You ain't got to be mean. Change that relationship. Change it. Be loving. Be kind. There are people who lie. If you're around somebody and they lying all the time, you can't trust them because they're lying. Leave them alone. That is not a healthy relationship. I listen. I don't deal with liars. I don't have no time for folks that lying all the time. I ain't gonna fool with you. You can lie, go spread your lies around to everybody else, but it's gonna stop me because I'm not gonna spread it. See, some people want to spread some lies to you and want you to spread. I'm not gonna spread it. Marie said, uh, we used to have footballing. My pastor would tell us to find the person we have a problem with and wash their feet. It works. It was a humbling experience. Okay, foot washing. Yeah, that's true. We don't. I don't know how many churches still have communion where they wash the person's feet, but you're right, Marie. That's an humbling experience when you wash somebody's feet. But you've got to be willing to place yourself in a position of humility. In order to create a healthy relationship, somebody has to take down. If you're going tit for tat, toe for toe with a person every time, listen, allow someone else, those that are around you, allow them to make mistakes. You're not saying, I agree with it, but say, listen, you make mistakes, you're human, but let's just work on it. Let's address those problems that you have. Some people have problems. And so if you know that person has a problem, don't beat them up all the time. Say, hey, listen, that's a problem. How can I help with that problem? That's a healthy relationship. Like I said earlier, iron sharpens iron. So what you can do to help that person, that's what you do. You want a healthy relationship where I can speak into your life. I can speak life to you and I can help you to grow and I can help you to be better. Any relationship I have, I want to make that person better. I don't want to be any type of relationship where you feel worse after you leave me than you did, before you're in my presence. And that's the way we should be. When I leave you, then I want to feel better about you. I want to feel better about myself. I don't want to leave you feeling worse about myself or worse about you. That's not a healthy relationship. So a healthy relationship is where, we allow the person, we validate the other person. We want the other person to feel, I want to feel good about myself, but I want you to feel good about yourself as well. Those are healthy relationships. I want to prosper. I want you to prosper as well. I want you to forgive me when I make a mistake. I've got to be willing to forgive you. Those are healthy relationships. Thanks, Sister Shirley. Sister Shirley says so true. Those are healthy relationships. Allow that person to make a mistake. We're human. Don't get bent out of shape when the person makes a mistake. Sometimes children are afraid. I've seen kids get around with parents and they just literally shake because they're afraid of making mistakes. Sometimes don't yell at those kids. Sometimes parents, they may not hit the child, but they yell at children. And so some children develop stuttering problems. They have nervous problems. Why? Because the parents are yelling at them. And it creates a spirit of insecurity. The child is insecure. The child doesn't feel they're afraid to make mistakes. And because they're afraid to make mistakes, they're afraid to try certain things. Don't hinder a person's growth because they're afraid to try. Because they're afraid to try because they're afraid to make a mistake, because if I make a mistake, then I'm going to be penalized. And so that you then hinder that person's creativity. There's a lot of talented people out there. Sometimes pastors, we have to learn how to allow the members to have the freedom to be independent thinkers, and share. Hey, I want to see what your ideals, because your ideals, if you have a positive idea for the church, it helps the whole church. And so you can never be insecure as a pastor. It's unhealthy. One person doesn't know it all. Now, the leader, you have to respect that pastor, give that pastor respect that's due him or her. But by the same token, the pastor, he or she has to give the body the ability and the freedom to share their thoughts, because that's how the church grows to be effective. There's some people that will not even let you bring an idea. I think it would be good for every church to have a suggestion box where people can put suggestions. If they want to come to the church, suggest this is what I like to do, because open mind, positive thinking person would say, let's consider this. I mean, I have people have given me ideas about a whole lot of things, and there's some I accept and some I reject, and I tell them thank you. But you can imagine that makes a person feel better when they can come to you and express their thoughts with you, and not be put down. What's wrong with you? Why are you saying that? Are you trying to be critical? No, a person should be able to express their thoughts to you, and not be, not feel like, wow, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I even said anything. Walk away feeling worse. Let's encourage one another. One of the things I do, I mean, those who know me, I send texts out to different people. I'll send positive affirmation to them, letting them know, hey, I'm praying for you, I'm thinking about you. These are healthy relationships. What can you do to make somebody feel better? What can you do to encourage somebody? What can you do to strengthen someone else? These are healthy relationships. And we do not have to be in a negative relationship. If you're in a negative relationship and you're not married to a person, you don't have to be in that relationship. Maybe it's best for you. I think Paul and Barnabas, they parted ways. When Peter, Paul said he withstood Peter, because when Peter was by himself, Peter was okay. He was cool. But once the Jews came around, then Peter, kind of got a little attitude. There's some people like that in the church today. They okay with you when it's one-on-one, but when you get around other people, it's almost like the whole personality, persona changes. Don't be that type of person that you okay with me on a one-on-one basis, but then when other people come around, then you're not okay with me. That's a problem with that. That's not a healthy relationship. Some relationships are one-sided. Okay, Patricia, yes, you do, and I appreciate it. You're welcome, Patricia. Yeah, and that's about helping people, encouraging people. There's some people that would rather say something negative to you or about you to say something to encourage you. That's something wrong. If I have that type of attitude, you have that type of, it's something wrong. So I'm encouraging. Wow, look at this time. This time is going by fast. But I'm encouraging you, take some time this week to go out your way to, first of all, examine yourself. Examine the type of relationships you have with your family, with your friends, with people in the church. And if you have a negative relationship, ask yourself, have you made any effort to address what the problem is? Sometimes the problem can be miscommunication, misunderstanding. If that's a problem, then guess it may be a simple solution. You know, and sometimes people get caught up and someone may have said something, may have heard something. That's why I don't go by what other people say. Well, I heard so and so say something. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. God bless you. Sometimes people want, who they want to get you all upset, and they'll put something out there. And I've had a number of people. I've had a number of people who have said negative things to me, someone else about me, and the person changed the attitude. Well, here's the thing. I feel like this right here. I'm sorry that happened, but if a person can allow someone to say something to you, and you two are friends, then I will question the strength of your friendship. Because if someone comes to me and they say something negative about a friend of mine, first of all, I'm going to say, you know what? Have you shared that with them? Second, I'm going to say let's pray for them. But I'm not going to look at them cross-eyed because of what you said. Bible said, "A friend loveth at all times." So when you are in a healthy relationship, you're gonna love that person. You know, the best example is a mother's love. Mother can love Pookie. Mookie, as bad as Pookie is, that's still my baby. Mama still loves him. She may not agree with everything he does, but she loves him. And so, but then again, it's unhealthy when you become an enabler. If Mookie is causing Mama a big headache, then Mama, you may be in a healthy relationship. You may be smothering Mookie. You might be covering for Mookie. Sometimes you might have to let Mookie go. You may have to let him accept responsibility. You do the crime, you gotta do the time. And so you cannot unhealthy relationship when you're an enabler, when you constantly trying to clean up after somebody. That's a problem. You know, you old folks say every tub got to sell on its own bottom. So I'm talking to somebody now. You know, I feel that in my spirit. Somebody needs. Sometimes folks have to accept responsibility. You can't spend your whole life trying to cover up for somebody else's mistake. They've got to accept their responsibility. I used to work with inmate when I worked at AT&T, setting the prices for how many calls, the limit, how many calls a person could get from the jail. I had a mother call me one time. She said, she sounds so sad. She said, I'm about to lose my house. I've gotten loans just so she could pay for her son's calls, calling her constantly, collect from the jail, calling her constantly. I said, let me ask you this, mother. I said, listen, I said, does your son talk to you more now since you've been in jail than when he's home? She said, yes. Yeah. I said, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to block your calls. Tell him that the phone company put a limit on how many calls you can get. She said, are you for real? She was so excited. See, that's unhealthy when you're letting people control you like that. Don't. I'm telling parents, don't let your kids control you. If Mookie or Pookie ain't right, you have to accept the fact that Mookie and Pookie just ain't right, and you can't cover up for them all the time. But mama, if you really love me, you gonna cover up for me. No, I ain't got to cover, folks. If you don't believe in smoking, and you don't smoke, don't let Mookie and Bebe smoke in your house. Tell them, listen, you got to set some boundaries. In healthy relationship, there has to be boundaries that have to be set. I don't let people smoke in my house. I'm sorry, I don't care. Well, you can't judge me. No, I'm not judging you, but this is my house. My house, my castle. If I don't like smoking, I'm not gonna let you put me inconvenience because of your problem. Again, that's your problem. You can smoke outside the house, but you're not gonna smoke in my house. Simple as that. You just have to set some boundaries. Parents, mothers, I'm talking to somebody. Set some boundaries. Set some boundaries for those kids. Don't always, enable run every time somebody goes to jail. You get them out. When I first started pastoring, man, I was getting folks out of jail. I tell folks now, I'm not gonna get you out of jail. You go to jail, guess what? I'm gonna put you a part of the inside prison ministries. Hallelujah. I'm not gonna get you out of jail. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do it. So, you have to set some boundaries because folks will take, and those same folks that you go get out of jail, once they got out of jail, they gonna go to another church anyway. They're not staying. Some people are your friends because of convenience. You're always giving. You're always one that's giving. It's okay if you have the resource and you're able to give, but some people, they are only your friends because you're giving. That's not a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship has to be give and take. Give and take. I'm giving, and I'm receiving. I'm giving affection. I'm receiving affection. If you are in a relationship where you are one that's always been affectionate, and you're always showing love, and you're always telling the person I love you, and that person not reciprocating, not telling you that you love them, that I care about them, that's a problem. And so then you may need to go to therapy and see why is it. Sometimes people have problems showing love. They have problems showing affection. They can't say that's just me. Then you need to address why is it that I have such a problem showing affection? Why is it I have a problem being nice to people? Why do I have a problem loving people? There's some people that and I want to say this right here because we just about finished. There are some people who self sabotage their relationship. I'm gonna say it again. They self sabotage their relationship. What does that mean? That means that I am afraid because my past that if I love you too much, then if I'm loving you too much, I'm gonna get so close to you, and what's gonna happen when I really get close to you? All of a sudden, you're gonna leave me. So rather than you leave me and my heart gets broken again, I'm going to do something to get you upset, something to separate the relationship because I'm simply afraid. That becomes toxic. And so you have to understand that there's a problem that has to be dealt with. You may need counseling for that. to get to the root of that. So listen, we are running out of time. I just only plan on being here for just an hour. I appreciate everyone, all your comments. Don't forget to share it. Share this with. Put your likes in. Let us know. Even when we get off the air, leave your comments. Let us know what your thoughts are. Sister Jamie, glad to see you, Sister Jamie. I'll make you about one of the last one. I knew there was a problem. They refused to get help. I ran for my life. That's true, Sister Jamie. If a person refuses to get help, then there's nothing you can do. All you can do is pray for them. Because sometimes you can spend all your time saying, you need help, you need help, you need help. If that person, he or she doesn't realize they need help, then guess what? You're frustrated because you realize they need help. And they're frustrated because for some reason, they don't see the need to get help. So both of you, actually, you're both frustrated when the other person really needs help. And so people have to be willing to be honest with themselves and say, am I having the same problem? Am I repeating a pattern of negative behavior? Don't always, look at other people. Just say, listen, if I need help, there's nothing wrong with saying I need help. I need help. I need you to help with that. Sometimes people have problems loving people. I need help. I mean, you would think that would come naturally, especially if somebody saved it. Some people just don't know what true love is all about. I'm going to quit, but when we talk about the 5 love languages, some people they just love differently, and so any type of healthy relationship, you find out what that person's love language is, and you're able to communicate with them on their language, and that makes for a healthy relationship. Be nice to one another. Be prayerful. Embrace other people. Compliment others. Those are healthy relationships. Build the other person up. Build that person up. Let's build one another up. Make it your homework assignment to just build somebody up. Just be as nice as you can, and ask yourself to help. Am I a part of the solution or a part of the problem? Am I involved in healthy relationships or I'm in negative relationships? Blessings, everyone. Hearts. Thank you. Love you. Thank you, Sister Walton. Listen, everyone out here, if someone hasn't told you today, I want you to know I love you and I'm praying for you. God bless you. And I hope that you are in the best relationship that you can be, and your relationships are getting stronger and stronger. God bless you. Until next week, thank you once again for joining. It's my turn now. Don't forget to share this. Be blessed in Jesus' name.